Shalom. Call hello, Yahweh Ba'Shem Abishai, Bahasham Rakakwadash. Double honors into the apostles, double honors into the elder bishops. Salutations to the 144,000, the scattered elect that are scattered among the heathen, the Israelite foreigners, and to the few Akwaf that are listening and learning. To you, I say Shalom. This is your brother Malcolm from the branch of the Great Millstone here in Chicago. And what you see on the screen is a video that was put up by the beloved brother out there with GMS Vegas sit downs. And then I have another video that I'm going to play from the other brother from Arrows of Indignation. And these are short and straight to the point, which is kind of like, kind of my style. Hit them hard, hit them fast, go on to the next one. All right, instead of the long, drawn-out beating. If that's your style, then, Yahweh bless you. That's some brothers have that spirit, but I'm more in that Obadiah spirit, straight to the bam, 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 vicious, fast, and furious. And but what's going on here? Let me just read Habakkuk. Let's let the prophet say it. This Habakkuk 2:16. Thou art filled with shame for glory. Drink thou also. Let thy foreskin be uncovered. The cup of Yahweh's right hand shall be turned unto thee, and shameful spewing shall be on thy glory. Hey, look, the Lord is getting ready to, Yahweh's getting ready to release the destroyer onto to you, to Esau, Edom specifically. All right, he's coming to destroy, and put down, to build up and put up his kingdom. But he's really coming for Esau, Edom, and Esau, it's really like, they have quotes now in schools, both from grade school to college now, that say it's okay to be white, which is something that they made up anyway. There's no such thing as white people. So that in itself is shameful, spewing upon their glory. And what is showing you that these people are not fit to rule and what they're trying to do. Let me go to Habakkuk, the first two. Let me go to Habakkuk, read the first couple of scriptures, and I'm going to play this video and try not to interrupt too much, but I will interject and bring in scriptures when the Spirit calls on it. But it's very powerful because this is from RT, which you used to be able to see on almost every channel here in America. They, but RT, they go hard into details and stories that America tries to avoid, especially ones that don't make them look too good. They rather find a story with a couple Negroes robbing somebody and put that on the screen. Or talk about R. Kelly, not Epstein and all his constituents, but make R. Kelly the face of pedophilia, when you get all these Hollywood people that's been doing it all along. But this is Habakkuk 2 and 1. I'm going to read to 6. The point really being in 6. All right, but it says, and I will stand upon my watch and set upon the tower and will watch to see what he shall say unto me, and what shall I answer when I am reproved. And Yahweh answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables, that he may run with that readeth it. For the vision is set for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it shall surely come, it will not tarry. The men of the Lord, starting from the apostles and elder bishops on down, have been on these highways and byways, on the YouTube for the last 16 years. All right, 16 and some change now. All right, the apostles were out, prior to that. Apostle Tahar, 40 years, into this thing. A lot of brothers in this truth, many of the prophets not even 40 years old. Many of the prophets not even 30 years old. All right. So he's been doing this, and then what does it say? Every to the second and third generation. The generation is every 20 years. So Apostle Tahar has had and right behind him the other top apostles. Almost 2 generations they've been doing this work, man. All right, and I listen to I listen to the stories and to when they prophesy and when they teach. And it amazes me that I was just, I was a nigga in the world, although I was searching. I will say that much. But, we were just in the world lost in the sauce when they were already fighting the battle for us, for our power, for our name, for who we really are, man. So put some respect on it. All right. And it says, behold, his soul, which is lifted up, is not upright in him. but the just shall live by faith. So Esau, Edom, he wants to justify himself in his own arrogance and his own falsehoods, his own lies. But we live by faith because we could see these things. I remember when the BRICS formed. The things that are happening now, I can see it plainly in 2011, 2010. It just took this time, which is really a short time, long for us, but short in the eyes of the Lord. Remember, one day to the Lord is 1,000 years to us. So when you really consider it, he made this thing go fast. All right. It says, also because he transgressive by wine, his false philosophies, his lies, his fake history, his changing of everything, him whitewashing history mainly, especially European and Asian history. All right. Yeah, he also transgressive by wine. He is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlarges his desire as hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth up unto him all people. And when the whole time he's doing that, he's destroying and killing people, murdering people, killing the animals. There's some movie coming out and it's just showing you this dude just brutally murdering the buffalo for no reason whatsoever. All right. It wasn't just the skin trade. They were actually trying, it served a double purpose. It made certain men very wealthy, trading their fur and their skins, but it also served the purpose of destroying Gad. Their number one food source was Gad didn't just ride around murdering off herds. If I'm not mistaken, I think they called it the Buffalo Tatanka. They would kill one, and they would use every bit of it. As they would use the meat for food, the fur for clothing, the skin for clothing, and for and their bones for tools. All right, they used everything. They just didn't kill to kill. All right. And this is why the people, and that's just one example, why the people of the earth are rising up against them and speaking out against them, because they abuse the earth and steal the resources. Verse 6, shall not all these take up a parable against him, and a taunting proverb against him, and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his? How long? To him that ladeth himself with thick clay, and that's what he's done. Esau is laid himself up with thick clay, and he wants to destroy after he's raped, robbed, murdered, and stole, he wants to destroy the system, to bring everybody else down, and then reset the system with him in charge again. That's what his plan is, but the Lord is going to foil it. And so you can clearly see, look, this debt ceiling has reached 33 million Americans crumbling. And what you're starting to see you're starting to see self-proclaimed, this made-up whiteness you see in white people, so-called, suffer in America. And a lot of things that they're suffering, Jacob and the other nations, especially Jacob, has been suffering these things all along. When Jacob prospered here in America, they rose up and destroyed all the strongholds and brought Jacob down. And then gave him welfare, put drugs and destruction in the neighborhoods. All right, purposely watch snowfall. That's not critical race theory. That's actually critical race historical facts. Like and subscribe. Okay, so they purposely destroyed Jacob. And now that the drug problem is affecting them, now all of a sudden there's a cry for help. All right, when all they did was mock and made fun of Jake during the crack era, which was and how wild it got with the gangs and all the destruction that came with that, when they're the ones that orchestrated and implemented it. How the tables are turning.
They don't care about American families. They don't care about the people in our own country, our infrastructure. This is my first time in Moscow. The infrastructure here is beautiful, clean streets. There aren't criminals everywhere. The streets aren't, sacked with drugs, fentanyl, opioids, and stuff like that. I mean, it's incredible here. America looks like a zombie wasteland that's in decay. It's crazy. But no, I mean, America, I don't know when the last time or if you've ever been was, but it's just miserable. I moved recently from Los Angeles to Miami. Miami's relatively nice, but Los Angeles, it's one of the many cities affected by the drug crisis in our country. You have these rich families like the Sacklers and Purdue Pharma making so much money off the misery of the American working class. We have 600,000 homeless Americans, 60,000 of which are veterans who served our country, you know? And we're supposed to believe now that our veterans who are going to fight in Ukraine, these are the bravest men ever. They're the biggest heroes that our country has ever seen. But the U.S. government's going to treat them the same exact way. They're going to be homeless within the next few years and probably on opioids or some sort of a, drug addiction. It's very sad.
I'm very happy to talk to anyone. The only thing I will say, I'm not happy to go back on the New York subway because I have been on it and it was a hellscape, unlike anything. I don't know if you've been on the metro here yet, but it's a very different experience. I'm glad that you talked about kind of some of the problems that the US is experiencing at the moment. You talked about fentanyl, you talked about homeless, the vets on the street as well. I mean, obviously, the US is sending out billions of dollars to Ukraine. At the same time that you had the fires in Hawaii, there are a number of, climate disasters, but also people are struggling. It's just economically, financially, it's a difficult time. From your perspective as an American based out there, how do Americans feel about the fact that their pockets are being emptied, essentially, to a country that maybe they don't feel a necessary affinity with, and they can't really say what the goal is there because America's never really defined it.
No. I mean, the sad reality is that I think if you went to every member of the United States Congress and you had a world map that you could draw up before them and you asked them, can you please point to the country that we sent $250 billion to on this map? I don't think that they'd be able to actually point to Ukraine on a map, which is just goes to show the insanity of what we're doing. We definitely know that the American public is not familiar with what's going on here. And you're right that the elites have not been able to identify what the goals of this mission are. And the goals are quite simple. It's to weaken Russia, depose Putin, steal their resources, and balkanize it into a bunch of smaller countries in the process, which they're failing at doing. But you're 100% correct. The American people are struggling. The average American doesn't have enough savings for like a $500 emergency fund. If their car broke down or they had a medical expense to pay for, they couldn't do it. And what I think America is most in pain by is not just the fact that we're sending all this money to Ukraine. That's crazy enough as is, but the fact that over the past few decades, we've completely outsourced all of our manufacturing jobs. Our economy is a Byzantine labyrinth of predatory schemes of stock speculation, interest, rent, you name it. We don't produce anything anymore. You look at what BRICS countries are doing. They're producing oil, gas, coal, lithium, uranium, lumber, gold, silver, you name it, right? Agriculture. That's why countries like Russia and China are leading the way into a new future. They're prioritizing the economy for public good and accelerating the forces of production in the same time. I think America would benefit a lot by following the economic road that the path that China has set forward. I think that's exactly what we need to do. China is doing an incredible job, as is Russia. And we need to address the crises in our own country and how people are suffering. The United States and Western Europe and really just them. I mean, maybe they claim that they are the arbiters of truth and they're the global policemen. But in reality, especially in this ever-changing multipolar world, with Saudi Arabia now leaving the petrodollar in effect and moving towards BRICS, the West is a hollow skeleton of power. It's a crumbling empire, and empires are most dangerous when they're rising and when they're falling. Right now is definitely the case for the United States and for the West. I just hope that we scramble enough of our 1776 spirit to put all the pieces back together again and rebuild our country and become a nation among nations rather than a nation that tries to rule over the rest of the world.
Now, let's just pause it there because he wants to make America great again, that MAGA spirit. But when America was great, just in all the brutal, honest fact of it is that everything that he complained about was the conditions of the so-called Negro, Latino, and Native American the whole time. All right. And like I said, when they built up their own communities, they came in and they destroyed them. There were very successful black communities with their families together, and they weren't on drugs and they weren't gangbanging, and they were actually doing better than their white counterparts. All right, here in America. And what did they do? They came in and they destroyed, burned those neighborhoods to the ground, drowned them out, put lakes over them, and then built luxury homes and vacation homes over them as if they weren't there, as if it never happened. And then they implemented systems. The wealthy of them implemented systems which the working class of them complain about because they feel like, oh, well, you're stealing all our jobs and giving out handouts. No, these people were actually doing better than you, and they were doing fine on their own. When they weren't integrated and mixing, when they had their own neighborhoods, their own schools, their own grocery stores, their own movie houses, and then for your own hate, you destroyed them. All right. And what did you do? Then you created food deserts and ghettos and welfare programs, and because and then you and it's gotta, I guess, that's the way America goes. In order for there to be really rich people, they have to keep a very poor class, and they have to keep that's the way it works here in this place. That's how capitalism works. Capitalism works. It allows one people to be rich and forces the other people to be poor. And it also causes lots of wars with a lot of bullets flying and bombs drop. And anyone to say otherwise is a goddamn liar, because that's what we've seen over and over again up until this point, where it's destroyed everything. Well, the only thing left now is World War III. So he and people like him, they weren't complaining until it started to affect people that look like him. And as you can see, his shirt is white. I love it when Edomites wear white clothing, when they wear a white shirt, because then you can clearly see that their skin is not white. They really are red, and not ruddy. Ruddy is really talking about maroonish brown, someone who's brown with those reddish tones in their skin, like a ruddy cow, a ruddy duck, a ruddy horse, all right? A brown person with red. So that, once again, that controlling of information, changing the meaning of words. Esau did a lot of things to hide who he was and to remain in power. All right. He was trying to cross all the T's and dot all the I's as far as lies are concerned. It's covering up actual history. All right. So let's play the next video. Babylon is in a lot of trouble.
All the spending we have, all the pressure that banks are facing right now because of inflation, and now the Fed trying to stop inflation. Met with a regional bank yesterday that's in trouble, and it could be in deeper trouble if the Fed keeps raising rates. And so we're in a coming storm. We think we have a trouble now. It could be much more severe, and so I'm seeing a pathway through that. I'm really running for the next generation. I've got 5 kids, 13 to 23, so I'm running for my kids, my grandkids to be, your kids as well. Because we don't navigate this the right way. Some of the things that we saw in 2007 and 2008 could be a very small, mild indicator of what could be to come. I really do feel this way. If we don't...
2007 and 2008 was rough, man. My business, I was doing very good around that time. Now, I was fresh into the truth, but my business was booming. All right. And that 2007, 2008 rolled around and things began to change. But that's also a part of the game. When you wake up to the truth and begin to do the work of the Lord, life gets that much more difficult. It doesn't stay easy. That's part of the test, part of the hazing from the Lord, part of the purging. Us being tried in the fire. And and I've lived long enough to understand that anything worth having is not going to come easy. All right, anything that you get too easy is going to go just as easy. All right, I've learned that with women. I would meet some really, really gorgeous women, and get to be with them. And every time that it came easy, it left easy. All right. So, that it is what it is.
Solve our biggest problems, which are inflation, our debt, and navigate it correctly. We could set up the next generation likely to have the weakest economic foundation since the Great Depression. We have to do that. If we don't do that, we'll never lead strong across the world like we should. We'll never really get back the freedoms that we have in our country, because one of the things that
and see, that's the whole thing. It was an illusion of freedom. There was no freedom here in America. There was only the illusion of freedom. Because you didn't really make the choices. You call this guy's running to vote, and everyone, and he's trying to appease the people. But presidents and high leaders in high places are selected, not elected. All right. Once you begin to see and understand the whole electoral college, the citizens, the populace vote makes no difference. They're gonna put in who they want to put in, and like we always tell you, both the left and the right hand side, the blue or the red, the Republicans, the Democrats, or rat publicans and democrats as I call them, they're two wings on the same hateful bird, right? If you're sitting on the Democrat wing, you follow the wing back up to the body. It's going to be the same hateful bird that's connected to the one that's on the left side, or the right side, however you want to look at it. All right? You can't go to Egypt for help. You have to go to the Lord. We have to depend on the Lord. And what we depend on the Lord was to expose these people and bring them down to where they're still making the same stupid mistakes. They say, what's that? How you analyze someone who's insanity, to keep doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. All right. It's like someone who continues to light up a cigarette, thinking that they're, that one day they're just going to get tired of smoking and not want to smoke no more. All right. No. And even if they don't want to smoke, the addiction is going to keep them smoking. Because a lot of smokers don't want to smoke, but they don't have the willpower, the strength to stop. All right. They don't, because they're not willing to go through the suffering part to break the habit, for their body to go through the pain of the withdrawal to get healthy, to get strong again, and not stink and be offensive to yourself and to others. The smokers don't realize how offensive it is. You can smell it even when they talk to you, when they breathe on you, when they, nothing worse than a woman that smokes. You try to kiss her and it's horrible. It can be a real turnoff. But yeah, I want to grab this scripture. And that's the problem with Jacob. I mean, the hell with these Edomites, but Jacob's always looking for help in all the wrong places. This is Isaiah 33, or is it? No, 30. 33 is a good one too, but yeah, because that's what's next. I'll read that one anyway. This is Isaiah 31:1, and it says, "Woe to them that go down to Egypt for help and stay on horses and trust in the chariots," meaning the system. They trust in the system of America, its power, its military, its, all right, because they are many, and in horsemen because they are very strong, but they look not unto the Holy One of Israel, neither seek Yahweh. So they're not looking up and praying for a strength that set up America, that set this place up, that is in that same strength is bringing this place down. All right? Because what's happening is that Esau, Edom, these Westerners especially, have dealt treacherously, and now the world is about to deal treacherously with them. This is Isaiah 33:1, and it reads, "Woe to thee that spoilest, and thou wast not spoiled, that dealest treacherously, and they dealt not treacherously with thee. When thou shalt cease to spoil, thou shalt be spoiled. And when thou shalt make an end to deal treacherously, they shall deal treacherously with thee." Call halal Yahweh Bashim Shai Bahasham Rakah Kwadash Wa Abba Babal Kwam Yasharala Shalom.